Welcome one and all of Them Knives channel. And what do we have? We have the NOC knives. It's hard to knock these knives. And it came, this S09P, P for purple, came in this giganticus box. So, see, it's only $55 for the knife, but it's another $300 for the box. So there you go. Hey, not bad for the knife. Guess you could put a padlock through here, lock it down. Use this as some case for something maybe more practical. And you can see on this side, you know, it's just like a gun case, except there's a surprise, but hold on. Okay, so here's the knife. We might be talking about this later on, you know, for a minute or two. That's a joke. Hey, okay, P for purple. It's big. It's heavy. It looks like Mall Ninja, future, whatever, steampunk, who knows what, right? I get it. I understand. And for some reason, you know, I'm a little bit on the Jason Browse side of things, which is, you know, I mean, I read a bio on him years ago, and it was like he saw all these cool knives, fantasy knives and everything, and thought, what if they were actually made of really good materials and they were really high quality? And so there you go. And this is what this has come to pass here. This is number 74 of 99 knives. I didn't know they were numbered, and I didn't know that they were limited to so many. Just so many. See, it says NOC Knives M390. I got this from a USA dealer, but if you look at AliExpress, you can see that some of them will say Vanix 10 on them. So Vanix 10. So that's interesting, if I can recall, and I'll correct myself down here if I'm talking out my snout, but I'll show you some paperwork here in a bit. Look at that backspacer, and then we've got a glass breaker on this end. Of course, I've looked around and I've seen a couple of these in all silver still available, but I haven't seen any in purple that were actually available. They look like they're sold out. So you can look around too if you're interested, and maybe you can find one here or there, but I hadn't. This is a flipper. It's a frame lock. There's your lockup. It's 25%. Looks like we got a lockout here. Yeah, we do. And that's solid, man. That ain't going nowhere. How cool is that? It's, I've had this for a couple of months. I just had to have it. And, I don't know, I just chased it. It's one of those, I know, freaky fantasy knives. I've got the Reich Alien 4. I've got the ADV Scavenger. And if you look at those knives online, they're also pretty fantasy-oriented, crazy designs. You know, some people dismiss them as just Mall Ninja crap. Well, that's fine, but I mean, these are made of real materials and they actually function that way. And of course, you can bring it around with that flipper tab here, or you can flick it open, etc. Let's get past this and I'll put the knife aside for just a moment. In this box, you get a patch here. Wife and knives are not available for more. Okay. And so that's kind of a Velcro patch. As well, here's your, and if you were looking at the hardware on here, so they give you the tool here. So this slot fits right into here, and doing it through the camera is fun. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. Right into here. So on both these sides. And then, of course, on the other end, you have a smaller external. So it fits in here, and it fits in here. And we will disassemble this knife. Whether I'll ever get it reassembled or not is another question, because I've never disassembled this knife, so that ought to be freaky wild. And there you go, another Velcro patch of the knife, and you get a microfiber cloth, which is really not microfiber. It's a chamois, ShamWow, Vince. So there you go with that. And here's the reveal. If I can remember how I pulled this thing out last time, just grab these and we're going to pull on both sides here. And this is in here pretty good, but you can pull this whole chunk out. And of course I'm going to dump these when I do that, so hold on. Okay. But you flip it over and guess what you got? Yeah, so you've got storage for knives. It's a knife case in this way, so you could put 6 knives in here. Otherwise, here you go with this. Look at how thick that is. That's all kinds of crazy. So, right there. And we'll put all the gear back in here. But I just thought that was interesting, too, that they give you a ginormous case. I mean, and here's the knife. I mean, check it out how this looks kind of lonely in the middle, doesn't it? I mean, you would think whatever you're putting in a case like this would take up at least that much, but it's just this little amount here. And then all this open tundra. But of course, you flip it over and then you kind of see, well, there is another utility to it. So much for that. I mean, I just think it's fascinating. I know. I mean, how purpose-driven is this? But then there's a lot of knives I can think of, like the Riot Jack 2, or the Scavenger, or the Alien, or a lot of the Thor 1, Thor 2, through Thor 6 knives from Reich that are integrals that are probably not, and, the Eschaton from Wee Knives, and some of those are not really what you would call, just normal, standard, practical use knives. I've got some of those, by the way, so I don't necessarily have to justify in my own mind that every knife has to be a practical carry, easy use knife. So now that I'm arguing with myself about why I bought this crazy knife, and there you go, you got this little thing that you can screw in or out, however. But that's a hell of a case, isn't it? Whew, baby. Oh. Back to regular tabletop focus here. Wow. Yeah, I like it. I just thought all the design aesthetics of this knife were fascinating. I do like a backspacer that's almost full length. That's really cool. Flipper tab is jimped this way and that way. Looks like you've got an access where you can put tritium bars here, and here, and here, and here, and here. Yeah, I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Maybe get purple ones or yellow ones or whatever, different color. So fascinating in that regard. This, to me, is a walk around. I don't know if I'm all that good at front flipping a knife that's this big and wide and long. You can see how that happens. But finger flicking, yeah. And flipper tab, yeah. Not a problem. The detent on this, oh, that's pretty good there. I'm not shaking it out that way. But I wouldn't give it more than a 5. It's still not that stiff. It's not when you hold it in hand and actually flip it. Let me see if I can fail this. Yeah. Easy to fail. And you got to watch when you flip this flipper tab, because what you can do is that. So you'll stop the blade from rotating because this is going to hit you. Unless you do this, then you're good. But the flipper tab itself, what you got to do is strike that trigger and pull your finger back. You got to get it out of the way as it comes around. So you've got that to deal with. You've got jimping on the top of this little sucker. There's just all kinds of things going on with this knife. Check it out. Looks like that's what stops the blade right there. Looking to see if I can see a mark where that actually hits. We'll know more when we take it apart, won't we? Let's see if the knife will be a knife. God forbid that ever happens. Okay. So, no, it's not bad. It's pretty sharp right out of the box. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Let's weigh it up. 278 grams. Not a lightweight. 9.8 ounces. It's heavy. It is. It's big. It's heavy. Let's compare it with what I just had out was the Paramilitary 2. Much, much bigger knife than the Paramilitary 2. Well, here's my Vexor. My Vexor's a 9-inch knife. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. That's pretty dang close. Pull the tape on this thing. We're good. Okay. So we're 9.5 inches easy, 24 centimeters. Basically 101 millimeter, 4-inch blade. And I can only imagine this thing is thick like a brick. And let's turn this on. Yeah, this is, wow. I mean, if you take it up here, 21.4 millimeters, 0.84 of an inch. Let's just take a look at the blade stock, 0.19, 4.9 millimeters. Let's see if we can sneak in here. Okay, we're there. Okay, 4.7 millimeters, somewhere in there is where 4.7, 4.9. Okay, there we are. Yeah, and I don't think this is any wonder behind the edge either. I think it's probably pretty thick. 0.03. Let's see, where are we? There you go, 0.02. Right behind the edge. Flipping action isn't too tough on this, see? It has a nice little drop to it, and it gets over the detent ball pretty quick. I think just the biggest thing about this is the weight. It's just heavy, and it's long. But this is not a gent carry, and this is more for novelty than anything. Although, you look at the Riot Jack, the original Riot Jack. That's a big old heavy knife as well. So that's no gent carry either. So there are some out there. I mean, it's not like there aren't some big pocket bricks out there. Some of the Medford knives, this and that. And so there are people that really like them. And a lot of these big artisan knives are coming out in copper and brass. And they are heavy dogs as well. So that's not unusual. And like I said, you can choke up on this and get right up for fine work. But that's a heavy-duty piece. The ergos are pretty damn good on it. Even like this, they're good. Back in here, they're fine because both these fingers fit right here. And then everything else here, not a problem. Reverse grip, yeah. And you know, the pocket's just not really a hot spot at all. Not at all. Like I said before, you've got this backspacer that's almost full length, and it's got traction on it. There's a little bit here and here. Of course, this is a titanium thing. It's not like grippy G10 or anything, but that's a dog. I mean, this is really feels like a very heavy, very structural knife. It's not light. It doesn't feel like you're gonna collapse it or hurt it easily. This is definitely solid piece of work. It's centered. I'm not getting any blade play, lock, rock, any of that on this knife. Whew. Balance point. There it is. Not bad, actually. The design and blade to length, length of blade to length of handle, looks a little shy, doesn't it? Like they could have done more blade length-wise if they wanted to. So maybe not really an A+ in that market. The flow of the design, well, you can't really do much because they made this front flipper thing. So other than that, yeah, I think the design flows well. It's just, yeah, you got this front flipper, and I find it a little awkward to try and hold it in some meaningful way to actuate that front flipper. I'm just not being able to just, okay. But you got to give it a little gravity and hold on, because the knife is heavy and it's a little awkward holding on to it doing that. It's not really fidget friendly that way. It's more fidget friendly this way, actually, and this way. So, but you do have this way to flip it open, this way to flip it open, and finger and thumb if you want. So, just to flash a little paperwork here. Yeah, this is one I printed out from AliExpress, and unfortunately this was blocking, but I think it's $420 here. Okay, multi-row bearings, so we'll see about that. And if you could see that, it's not easy to see, but they had it in a Vanax, V-A-N-A-X, and I kept thinking I saw, I looked that up online, but you know what, I mean, I think that was a very limited run of those in that, and then the rest of them were an M390. And here you go for pause and read. I mean, fit and finish is pretty good on here. You know, it's hard to find any fault with the manufacturing of this knife. I feel like they did a pretty good job on it. Obviously, it's right hand, and I don't see a left hand capable because you see how they machined this out. So this is right hand tip up only. Fairly deep carry, though. This is fairly easy to disengage. You can see how they've machined this area to make it pretty accessible for you to be able to disengage that lock bar. So not bad that way. If I never did probably give you the thickness here. 15.7, 0.62 in the middle. So this varies up and down, 0.71, and I can't get a measurement off of here because they got the pocket clip. Yeah, it's about 0.71, but it's definitely heavier up here, 0.84 of an inch. The moment of truth, right? Let's take the tool. Really nice. This is steel here. And disassemble this. I'm probably going to look around the camera mostly. Let's see which side I want to start on. I don't really care. I just want to check to see which side is easiest to unscrew. Ooh, and this one is very easy. So we'll take it apart and just kind of have a look-see of all the different parts. Well, it looks like it's got a D-shaped pivot here. Obviously, this is being held on here as well. I want to be careful with this tool because it's steel and the frame of this thing is titanium. Don't want to scar it up. Oh, there we go. So there we go with that, huh? And what else we got going on here? Oh, there we go with that collar. This ought to be fun to try and keep track of these parts, huh? Ooh, baby. Well, that one's gonna come. There we go. Got the little collar around there and the screw on this side. That pocket clip on the other side was saying no way, and I'm gonna come back to him, but let's see if we can take some of the other gear off of here. And here we go for this. So we've all got little screws and washers, and I think they're all the same size. They look pretty close. So at least I'm not worried about getting them mixed up. And here we go with this one too. So it looks like these screws here with their surround look pretty standard. I think I can pull this away here if I'm... Okay, here we go. Okay. I wonder... Oh, there we go. Yeah, it wasn't being that difficult. There's a pocket clip. And of course, here's the other screw to this scale. Okay. And this comes off. Maybe this will help. Let's take this off and this off. There we go. There's lock bar side. So that's what we got there. And gently as we go, there we go. And there we go. Okay, presentation sides apart. So each side has one of these big old dogs, you know, with the surround. And then, of course, they got the slide in here and the slide in here with all their screws. So that's how we're doing that. And then we've got some big old multi-row bearings, and that's scary looking, isn't it? Because I'm thinking that those bearings are free floaters. I don't think they're captured bearings. That's going to make it tricky. Because these things could just exit the premises. So obviously this must be the stop because there's no internal blade stop. There's no other stop pin. This must be it. I mean, this piece here, this backspacer piece, which just comes right off if you want it to. It's got these that pin there and this pin here as location. So here's your lock bar side. This is your little lockout mechanism here that slides back and forth. So it'll slide up in here, prevent this from closing. Slide it back. Of course, there's an over travel because this interferes here. And ceramic detent ball. And there's your little, probably a little number 6 that holds this hardened steel insert in place. Okay, so there's my best attempt to show you everything disassembled on the S09P. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I was a little intimidated, but basically just these two pieces mount here. This goes over there. The bearings go where the bearings normally go. Nothing shocking there. Same on the back. It's just that you've got these extra little pieces that individually go over there, but nothing terribly intimidating about that. So I think there's a lot of cool factor in this knife, and I know there's a lot of people that'll go, to hell with it. I think there's some others that are like me that, kind of dig it. It's fun. It's the artistry. I have to admire, having worked in a machine shop for 3.5 to 4 years back when I got out of college to begin with. It was, you have to admire the genius of these guys that come up with all this. It's quite the deal, isn't it? When you think about all the programming and work going into making this, it's quite the artful deal. Let's see about putting this puppy dog back together. And I think we're really going to start from the lock bar side. And let's see how artful we can be with these. I sure as hell, I've gotten into free floating bearings before. I don't know, these don't look captured. Okay, so what the hell? Let's go around it. That's a big area there. Okay. I ain't been back in there for a while, boys, so let's just do this and crunch this little number down on here. Put the blade right there. Now, and let's do this right there. Pretty impressive. That's a lot of territory there. That's a lot of bearings. It's a heavy knife, though, but that's a lot of surface area for bearings to go. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, what am I forgetting? I guess I'm not forgetting anything. That's okay. Interesting. Okay. Oop, there we go. Okay. I think that's nailed down. Yeah. Looks pretty centered. Ooh. Okay. All right, it's back together. It's centered right up. Ooh, that's vicious. It's big. It's crazy. Yeah, I thought it might be a little difficult, but I mean, really, these are just like body screws, and this is the pocket clip and the pivot, so not really any more difficult than most standard knives. It just kind of seemed a little bit more complex than some, but nah, it's not really all that much. I just thought I'd get this on camera. Disassembly's fascinating. It's a big old hoss, though. It certainly is. All right, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much. Hey, you know what we do around here. We love them knives, so you guys stay sharp.